So let's do another example. Okay, so we have this triangle that's oriented a little bit differently than the first way we did this. But let's suppose that in this case we have the short leg of the large right triangle is x, the long leg of the large right triangle is y, the altitude of the large right triangle is z, the shorter part of the hypotenuse is 2, and the longer part of the hypotenuse is 4. Okay, so then we have our first schematic that looks like this. Okay, and that first part is 2. The altitude is z. The altitude again is z. And then the long part of the hypotenuse is 4. That allows us to write the proportion 2 over z is equal to z over 4. Cross multiply and we get z squared is equal to 4 times 2. And so taking the square root, we get z equals 2 times the square root of 2. Now using our second schematic, it includes all of the hypotenuse, the long leg of the large right triangle, the long leg of the large right triangle, and the longer part of the hypotenuse. So the entire hypotenuse in this case is equal to the short part plus the long part, which is 2 plus 4. That makes 6. The long leg in this case is y. The long leg again is y. That was kind of ugly. Let me see if I can make that look better. That's a little better. And then the long part of the hypotenuse is 4. So that allows us to write the proportion 6 over y is equal to y over 4. If we cross multiply, we get y squared is equal to 4 times 6. Take the square root of that and we get y equals 2 times the square root of 6. Now using our third schematic, we start down here in the lower right hand corner. Our third schematic is going to incorporate all of the hypotenuse, and it will include the short leg of the large right triangle, again the short leg of the large right triangle, and then the shorter portion of the hypotenuse. So again, the entire hypotenuse is made up of the long part and the short part, which together is 4 plus 2, that adds up to 6. The short leg of the large right triangle is x, and then we have that again, and then we have the short part of the hypotenuse, which is 2. So that allows us to write the proportion 6 over x is equal to x over 2. Cross multiply and you get x squared is equal to 6 times 2, which is 12, which can be factored into 4 times 3. And so that means that x is equal to 2 times the square root of 3. So even though our triangle was oriented differently than we had before, we were still able to use our three schematic diagrams, schematic 1, schematic 2, and schematic 3, and we were able to use the schematics to set up the appropriate proportions, which we were then able to solve. We first solved for z, which we found to be 2 times the square root of 2, also y, which we found to be 2 times the square root of 6, and finally here we found that x is equal to 2 times the square root of 3. Again, this is a shorter, easier way of doing the same kind of problem, and we will do more examples.